Hey everyone, live in DC here from the Tennis One app at the City Open, and we have with us the one and only Brad Gilbert, commentator, coach of Coco Gauff, author of Winning Ugly, and much more. Hey Brad, nice to see you here. What brings you here to the City Open?
First of all, nice to see you. This is my second year working with the tournament. I do clinics every morning, usually in the afternoon based upon player availability. I do a little tennis talk, a little Q&A with, like a 15-minute interview today. It's at 3:45 with Caroline Dolehide. And maybe between 5 and 7, I take a lot of the players in the suites, the Mubadala suite, the City suite, the Washington event suites, and I do a little, Q&A with them.
Awesome, that's great stuff. And what are your memories here of playing in DC? You've had a lot of success here. You've been to 2 finals, unfortunately not on the winner's side in both of them, but you've still had a lot of success here.
Well, the first time I came here in 1982, the tournament was on clay, and we didn't have any buildings. We only had trailers, so the tournament's come a long ways. And I think I lost twice in the final, maybe at least another couple more times in the semi. But my bitterest memory, it's funny, as you get older, you forget wins and you remember losses. And I just looked up the other day and I saw the '89 title, Tim Mayotte, and that's the one that I'm kicking myself that I didn't win. I was up a set. We had a long rain delay. Then we went back out on court, played 2 games. It was like 6-3, 1-all. Another 4-hour rain delay. Pushed over to a Monday final, and then I ended up losing, I think, 7-5 in the third. So I see Mayotte's name up there, and I'm thinking, damn, I should have won that title that year.
Nice, I love that. So obviously you have Coco Gauff, at the Olympics right now, and she was the flag bearer, number 2 seed, and she's done so well for herself. And do you have sort of any advice that you gave her maybe going in, because you yourself are a bronze medalist at the 1988 Olympics, just how to manage all that whole experience?
Well, unfortunately it didn't go the way she had planned or I had planned for her. But sometimes life, you have a little adversity, and that's what builds strength and character. It'll only make her push harder for 2028 in Los Angeles, because when something's happened, you can't change it. It's like me wanting to change the '89. You can't change it. So the only thing is that potentially in 2028, she could change that result and have a much better result.
So what's the challenge now, looking to the North American hardcourt swing, where she had such a great summer last year, won all those tournaments, has a lot of points to defend. Anything, you're going to kind of be telling her to keep her spirits high?
You know what, when you play, you can't think about what's coming off. You could only think about what's in front of you. And the most important match that you're playing is the next match. She loves to play on hard courts. She likes it, especially if the weather is warm. And it's very good conditions from her. So hopefully, we'll just start out, in Toronto and, win the first match there.
Nice. One step at a time, right?
100%. You put the left foot in front of the right foot.
Yeah. So do I have it right that Coco also got some serving advice from Andy Roddick?
She did in November. We went at the end of November to visit Andy. He helped to simplify and abbreviate the motion just a little bit. But the most important thing for all young tennis players is to constantly be thinking and tinkering with your game to get better. Because you basically are competing against yourself to get better. Everybody says, I want to be ranked here, win this tournament, but you need to make improvements, and especially at a young age is most important.
Awesome. And, what have you made of sort of Coco's year so far? And do you really think the forehand is sort of the main issue, or is it something else? Because, if you find opponents, constantly, hammering her forehand side, is that something that you're focusing on changing, or are you kind of focusing more on her strengths because she has a lot of great strengths?
I mean, she's been a little bit unlucky, lost a couple of close matches and a few semis this year. And you know what? As a tennis player, as a coach, the year is still going. There's still a lot more to play for. And the most important event is thinking about next week is Toronto, following Cincinnati, and then the U.S. Open. So it's a good time for Coco. And there's still plenty of time for her to do some good things this year.
Awesome. And then when you're focusing on coaching her, do you focus mostly on her great strengths, like her speed and her footwork and her backhand, or do you kind of focus on trying to get better at the other stuff?
Well, a lot of times, I focus on her opponent. What she needs to do for that specific day against that specific opponent. You're always trying to work on your game, whether or not it's your serve, your forehand. Why the year is going, you can't make major changes. If you try to make major changes when you don't have any significant time off, it's a challenging time to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's so tough in a sport like this, 47 weeks of the year. So
totally. I mean, and normally when you have a little bit of off time, that's when you can make some big changes. But you are constantly trying to work on things to improve them.
Right. And I've noticed on Twitter you have a lot of these really fancy nicknames for players. How do you come up with those? And what are some of your favorites?
You know what? It's funny is some names are a lot easier to work with, and sometimes they just come to me. Sometimes they don't. I don't have some staff, and then a lot of people throw out, their nicknames that they like, or I'll say, no, that's too long. I don't like it. So I just, what? People forget sometimes that Twitter, it's to have fun with.
Awesome. Yeah. And I want to know, of course, since Andy Murray has just, retired and he's said goodbye, and he's had, all these years with a metal hip, and he's put in so much hard work, in amongst the three greatest players of this century. What are some of your favorite moments with Andy? Because you coached him in 07. What's your favorite Andy Murray story?
Well, we started together here in 06 in Washington. He got to the final. You know what? Andy left no stone unturned, and he gave it his all. And he's a crazy competitor. A lot of times, like when I was coaching, if you tell him something, he's always kind of like, how did you come to that? Why do you think that? What is your research? And I'm like, well, it just came to my head. But he challenged you every day. I think one of the craziest memories, it was literally here, the first tournament in Washington. Literally, he started yelling at me, and I turned around. I thought he was yelling at somebody else, and then literally he was yelling at me. So that was my first, finding out, okay, he could give you a little bit of business in the box. And maybe my favorite Andy Murray story was in 2006 after the U.S. Open. I took him to train with Michael Johnson, and Michael took him to the track, and he goes, okay, we're gonna run 8 200s today, and in between each 200 you're gonna walk the distance, and then he goes, let me see if you can get 8 under 32 seconds. And then he told Michael, he says, I'm gonna get 8 under 30 seconds. And I was like, okay. And then I asked Michael, what are the chances of him being able to do that? He's got no spikes, he's got tennis shoes on, no chance. So literally, he does 8 all under 30 seconds, and then he bent over and he lost his cookies. But it was an unbelievable effort. And then Michael told him, see, now you know what your breaking point was. It was a great experience seeing him, but he didn't think there was any chance that he could break 8 and under 32, and he did the 8 under 30.
That's the ultimate dog in him.
Yeah, totally.
Competitor. Yeah, I love that. So does he ever give you like a hard time now when you guys text like back and forth? And
you know what's funny is, a year ago, he was asking me on text, he was trying all these different rackets and tension, and I said go looser, because he felt like, okay, if you go looser, maybe you get more popular. So, no, my data tells me that if I go tighter, I'll get, no, go looser. But he's kind of like, if you say red, he says black. You say black, he says red. But he likes to bounce off his idea that he already has the answer. And I was like, okay, as far as I know, if you go your strings looser, you'll be able to serve bigger. But he says, no, but with tighter, I can make, this contact, and I can go harder. Okay, why'd you ask me?
I love that. So, looking ahead for the rest of this tournament, we're at the quarterfinal stage. Give me some predictions. Who are you liking on the women's side? You got Sabalenka as the number 1 seed. You got Raducanu, Badosa, Azarenka playing tonight.
Raducanu's had a breakout tournament here. It's a great opportunity. If she wins today, it's to play Dolhide, who's had her best tournament of the year. Obviously, Sabalenka on form is the favorite coming in. She plays Azarenka tonight. That should be an interesting match. Obviously, 2 country people. And would love to see Francis be able to get a win and make his first semifinal. And if he does, I got a feeling we're going to have 4 Americans in the semis. Mickelson, Korda, Shelton, and Tiafoe. That's what I want to see.
You're calling Tiafoe to beat Rublev.
I'm calling the upset alert tonight.
Awesome, love that. Yeah, I mean, so looking ahead also for the rest of the year or 2025, do you have like one really bold prediction? You know, or just something that you think is for sure going to happen?
Well, you know what I would love to see happen? A couple of things. One, that I know in 2025 we're going to go to electronic line calling on everything, but not yet at the French and Wimbledon. I would like to see them do it. I would also like to see electronic for incidentals that maybe happen once or twice a match. And I do think I'm starting to believe that, like, you know what, too many rule changes if I could make. You throw the ball toss up, you gotta play it. No catching your ball toss. If you do, it's a fault. And second, it's time to do away with the lets.
Awesome, I love that. And then in the tennis calendar, you know, is there something that you would like to see change, or do you think, you know, we have the off season is too short, anything like that?
Geez, that's a little harder to figure out, because, you know, it's easy to say I would do this and do that, but then it's about eliminating tournaments, about eliminating weeks. You know, I don't have a perfect answer for you on that. But I do think the men's and women's season should end at the same time. The women's ends much earlier, you know, but the men, you know, end a bit later. You know, that's, you know, like I said, it's difficult to chop out people's weeks.
Awesome. And, you know, obviously as the author of Winning Ugly, I've read that book. Amazing book, you know, a lot of great tips that helped me so much in my game. What is one thing that what's one advice that you would give to juniors on how to win on a maybe average/bad day?
Most important thing about becoming a good player is figuring out how to win when you're average. Nothing else matters more than that. If you can learn when you're average, that's when you can become a much better player. Everybody wins when they're playing good, and you've got to learn to win when you're average. All right, I got to go do autographs now. Nice to see you.
Cheers.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah,
That's
kick your feet up, all right?
Yep, Danny's calling me. Thank you.